Well, it's here. The totals. Watch this. If I get this close enough to the mic, you might hear the gong. Hear the gong part? The totals. Try it again. It can't touch the mic, but you can maybe hear it. The totals. The legal jam letter totals. After all of them, totals. Can you hear the gong part? Sometimes if you get it close to the mic, you can hear the gong part. Totals of legal jam letters. All of these different numbers that you can add to a major or a minor chord, all of those numbers total together. That is what is so great about each legal jam letter. Let's just review for a second what these legal jam letters are. The first rule is that you have to use whatever letters are given in the actual chord that's represented at the time in the song. So if it's an A chord, it has to be A, C sharp, and E. Those are legal jam letters of the A chord, A, C sharp, E. And I always include the 8, which is A again. So that's really any chord that you can name like that. Let's say an F chord, F, A, C, and I put the F on the top. An F chord, the first thing are whatever are the letters that are described in the chord symbol or the chord of that part of the song, they are legal. And so if it had F7, that 7, so hold them, have step down from F, which is E flat, that note would be a legal jam letter during an F7 chord. If it said D minor 7, D, F, A, C, which are the 7 of a minor chord, D, F, A, C being the 7, D, F, A, C are all legal jam letters at the time that a D minor chord is happening. So that rule, once again, is whether it's a major or a minor chord, whatever is the chord description, whatever, including a number behind it, those are legal. So you could start with a chord that already has a number on it, and there you have a whole lot of notes to jam on anyway. What I am also saying is, let's go to rule 2. That was rule 1. Whatever is the chord symbol, all those chord symbol letters are legal, whether it's major or minor. Then I thought about what is rule 2. Rule 2 is the 2. The 2 is good in both a major and a minor chord. No matter what you have, a major and a minor chord are great sounding with 2s. So the second rule was the 2 is a legal jam letter. So remember, the first rule is whatever is described in the chord symbol, whatever letters those are, is legal. Second part, we're going to add a note in there, the 2. That's a legal jam letter. When you're jamming along, you can be confident that you will not be dissonant or illegal. Not to say that it's bad to be dissonant, or sometimes people call them mistakes, or they just don't sound that good. However, they are good. You can make them good if it's part of the song. In other words, if that's the sound you want to make, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying legal jam letters are all about okay sounding stuff. It sounds okay. If you land on it, it's okay. And time moves through music so quickly that you don't have that much time anyways during that chord to add all those letters and play all those letters and do some rhythms on them or whatever anyway. So why land on the bad sounding notes? Why not try to play the good sounding notes? That's the cool thing. Let's play some good sounding notes, right? Okay, so rule 2 is the 2. Rule 3 jumped all the way out to the 7. And I said in a major chord that you can have a 7 or a major 7. And 7 or a major 7 is an or in between it. There's not just major 7 or 7. It is an or. There's an or in between it because it's or. It's not both. And if you're in a pure chord Like say you're in C and you had C, E, G, and then you wanted to go a B on top of it. That might be good of what you sounded. Or if you wanted to go B flat on top of it to make a C7, that would be good on top of it. Okay, that's cool, but both change pretty dramatically that C, that pure C. So, in that case, I said on the third rule, in the major side only, the 7 or the major 7 can be used if you like it. It's almost like a preference. Do you like it sounding there? If it doesn't sound bad to you, whatever. But it's an or in between major 7 or 7. There's an or there, okay? So that's on the major side. On the minor side, I said you can use the 7, not the major 7. So there's only one number in the minor that you could use, is as rule 3, in the minor side. Each rule, by the way, covers both major and minor. So here I am all the way on rule 3, and I'm talking about in the major side, you can either use a 7 or a major 7. But in the minor side, you can only use a 7. That's rule 3. That is important, though, because if you see the common part in there, that is the 7 is good in a major if it works, and the 7 is good in a minor. The major 7 can work in a major, but it doesn't work in a minor. So, I guess a part of that rule 3 is that that major 7 from the major side doesn't work in the minor. Now, the rule 4 is about the 4. It's kind of the opposite way. In the minor, the 4 doesn't sound bad, but in the major, it sounds wrong. So, the fourth rule is the 4 sounds good in the minor, but not in the major. Kind of opposite of what the major 7 is in the rule 3. But anyways, going back to rule 4 is the fourth. What do we do with that fourth? Can it be used in either major or minor? Yes, it can be used as a legal jam letter in minor, but not in major. Now in 5, we talk about the 6, because we haven't really talked about the 6. The 6 can be used in both major and minor. So we've really covered all the numbers. We've covered 2, 3 is part of that regular pull, bing, gang, ling, 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 basic chord. And then it could be a minor 3 or a 3, by the way, in that basic part chord. And then 4 has its own little position where it's supposed to be. Now we didn't talk about plus 4, we didn't talk about plus 5, but we will. But now, just as legally and whatever, going in the legal jam letter rules, 5 after 4. And 5 is part of the basic chord. So, we went then, not plus 5, but then to 6. 6 was good on both a major and minor as a legal added jam letter. Even though it's not written on the major or minor chord symbol, you could add that 6 in there if it sounds okay. Same with 7. In the minor, only a 7 can be added. Does it sound okay? Okay, or whatever. But in the major, you could add either a 7 or a major 7. That's all the rules. Now, just to take a look at this. This is the major. I don't even know if this will even show. So this is the major right here. And you can see that I have the 1 circled, and the 5th circled, and the 8 circled. Over here, in the minor, you can see I have the 1 circled, and the 5th circled, and the 8 circled. That's because they're common tones between both. That's important stuff. They're common between two. The 1, the 5, and the 8. So, that's either or, if you're in major or minor, a legal jam letter would be 1, 5, or 8. Now, look at the 2s. The 2s are circled in green here. They're both good in both major and minor. That's so cool. That's cool. Then, look at the 3. The 3 is part of the basic chord. It's completely alone, uncircled or anything else like that. In the major or in the minor, it's a minor 3. M3, can you see M3 there? Okay, so these are completely different. They are different, and they are important, and they're different. Okay? But they're basic chord stuff. The 4. The 4 does not even appear on the major side. There's no 4 there. It goes from 3 to 5. Look at over here. 4 is there. It's just not sharing anything with the 5, with the major. And then, of course, the 5 we were talking about earlier. And then look at the 6. The 6 is both circles. right? And look at the 7. The 7s are both circled, but not the major 7, because only in major is a major 7. These are the rules. These are the rules. These are the totals of jam, major letter and minor legal jam letters. These are the totals. These are all the numbers you can have in a major. These are all the numbers you can have in a minor. That is really cool. That's like major, minor, and all kinds of cool stuff. Now, also, by knowing what is legal, you can add them together and make more of a chord. By the way, I'm just going to give a little note here that this keyboard is now flip-flopped, and the right hand will be in the bottom keyboard, as you can see, and the left hand will be on the top keyboard. And so, as you look at that, I'm just playing some nice broken chords. I always like to play with the 8, so I have a 4-note chord. Isn't that cool? I'm just playing anywhere, just pure major chords. It's a 1, 3, 5, 8. Oh, pure minor? Okay. They're beautiful chords as they stand on their own. There is nothing wrong with a pure minor or pure major chord. Let's switch to major. Can you hear the difference right there? All right, now let's just change it a little bit. Now we were talking about, now we can add into major and into minor the 2. That's the second rule. She doesn't change it. This is great, isn't it? Okay, now we can add the 2 into the major, I said. Now what if I made the major into a minor? Can I still add that 2? Yes, it still sounds good. Ooh, it sounds really good. I love the 2s and minors. But it's a great note, right? Add it to the chord. Just instead of playing a minor chord, add a 2 in there. See how cool it sounds? Okay, I might be having too many fingers here for everyone, so I'm just going to go with a 3-note chord here. Then I'm going to make it a 4-note chord, playing 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers. Anyway, as a B minor 7 chord. I love minor 7 chords. Aren't they pretty? Oh, I just revoiced that. In other words, I inverted it. Instead of playing just the nice little chord and then playing the 7 on the top, or playing the major 7, major, and then playing the 7 on the top, and showing how that's cool. Now I'm playing the 2, and just playing a 4-note chord. 1, 2. Now I'm playing the 2. And there's a major and a minor. See, it sounds good. It's a legal note. It's rule 2. So listen to 2. It sounds great. The 2 in a minor is a great thing. The 2 is a great legal jam letter. Now let's go to rule 3, which had to do with the 7. Now the 7, remember, that is very nicely and pure. The 7 can really change it. Listen to it. From pure to a, or from a pure to a major 7. It really does change it. There's a B to a B major 7. It really changes it. But if you want it, you can use it. Because remember, I said in a major, you can use the major 7 or the 7. Whatever sound you get. But see how different it sounds? There's the major 7, there's a 7. These are major 7 and then 7, major 7 and then 7. See what I'm saying? Major 7 and then 7. See the difference? It really does make a difference. And it's also strong onto it. But rule 3 is if you're in a major, you can use a 7 or a major 7. And remember that in a minor, you can always use a 7. It always sounds great. And then again, rule 4, just for a sound check on here. Remember, rule 4 is that 4 in a minor. See, it doesn't really sound bad. These are great jam letters that are unknown or not thought about. A 4 in a minor, yeah. It's a great jam letter in a minor. If you're in a major and you played that 4, I mean, it's kind of sound, it kind of sounds like, doesn't sound good as a legal jam letter, but that's some note you can add on a minor. You can put 4 in there. Anyway, all of these are great because they're totaling up a bunch of jam letters together that are besides the basic chord. And it's kind of eliminating the bad sounding or legal or whatever sounding notes versus the legal good sounding notes. It sounds so simple that you would try to, play, something that was, good all the time, and always playing, all the notes that are given to you, and then adding maybe a 2 in there, or 6 in there, just making beautiful chords and adding to them, or in the, these are in major that I was just playing. What if you're in minor and you're just, making minor 7s, and then you're inverting them or revoicing them, taking the top and going to the bottom, and it's just beautiful. These are 7, a 2, a minor 3, and a 5. I love that chord. Doesn't that sound great? That's because I'm adding a 2 and a 7 onto a minor chord. It's just a basic minor chord. I'm adding a 2, and then I'm putting the 7 right below it. And it just sounds good. And then, of course, I'm taking out the letter of whatever I'm playing in the bass note because I'm already playing in the bass note. Isn't that great? I think that's the greatest sounding chord, the minor 7-2 chord. And it all came from a minor chord. And then I 7'd it, and then I 2'd it. Minor 7-2. It just sounds so good. Cool. Well, there's many, many combinations you can do. You can add the 6s on wherever you want to. You can add the 7 on the major 7 wherever you want to in a major chord, or in a minor chord you can always just add the 7. And in both you can add the 2. All of these great totals will help you jam.